Hello everyone, welcome back to Serena's blog. In this podcast we'll be talking about fashion through the ages. The podcast where we explore how clothing has shaped and been shaped by our societies. Let's start by looking at the Middle Ages and Renaissance periods in Europe. During these times, clothing was a clear mark of social class. Did you know certain colors were effectively off limits to anyone but nobles? Take purple for instance. Producing its dye was incredibly expensive due to that it was made from rare sea snails. Because of the cost, only royalty and the very wealthiest elites could afford it. But what can we say about those people who were neither rich nor in power, such as farmers and artisans? Well, these people had a very simple wardrobe, typically made of coarse fabrics. On special occasions, like a wedding, they might wear their best outfit, which was usually just a slightly nicer version of their work clothes. This was because clothing was extremely expensive and had to last for years. But not only the cost of clothing shaped what people could wear, there were also laws that regulated this, and people could even go to prison for not following them. One memorable example is the decree by Queen Elizabeth I, where everyone had to wear a wool cap on Sundays and holidays. This was meant to support the English wool industry, an important economic sector at the time. But when actually did fashion become as we know it nowadays? The drift towards fashion as we understand it now happened during the 1960s, where fashion was no longer just for the elite. Two key factors changed everything, the first being youth culture explosion. Teenagers and young adults gained more spending power, and they wanted to express themselves through fashion. Think of the rise of iconic designers like Mary Quant, who popularized the miniskirt. The second was mass production and ready-to-wear clothing. Advances in manufacturing allowed clothes to be produced cheaply and quickly. Ready-to-wear collections became widely available, meaning people from all walks of life could experiment with trendy styles. But of course, there are always downsides related to everything, and there are quite a few related to modern fashion. The first one we could mention is the environmental impact that fast fashion has on, obviously, the environment. This is because fast fashion uses synthetic fabrics and resource-intensive processes, leading to pollution and excessive water usage. The second is an excessive waste. Clothes are so cheap that many people see them as disposable, creating huge amounts of textile waste. We can also mention labor issues. Factories in developing countries sometimes provide poor working conditions to keep production costs low. And last but not least, we can mention the consumer mindset. There's a constant push to buy the next trend, encouraging a throwaway culture rather than valuing durable, timeless pieces. However, on the bright side, there's a growing awareness about these issues. Many consumers now look for ethical, sustainable options or choose second-hand clothing to reduce the environmental impact. In conclusion, in just a few centuries, fashion has evolved from a strictly elite pursuit to a massive global industry that influences what we wear and often how we feel about ourselves. Looking back at laws like Queen Elizabeth's wool cap decree, we can see how deeply fashion is tied to culture, economics, and even politics. So, what do you think about this evolution? Are you surprised by how tightly clothing was once controlled by social class and costs? Does fast fashion's environmental impact change the way you look at your shopping habits? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for joining me, and stay tuned for more podcasts.